We are even closer to learning how Jack Pearson died in tonight's episode of This Is Us, so let's break down Season 2, Episode 13, right here on What Happened. How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another This Is Us recap. So this episode saw some demolition, puppies, and more clues into how Jack died. And yes, a fire had something to do with it, or at least that's really what everything is leaning towards, unless Jack survived this fire and then ran out and got hit by a car or something else killed him. We're not quite sure on the actual specifics just yet, but a fire had a big part in it. Now we'll get the answers to all our questions in the next episode that airs after the Super Bowl, which is kind of bittersweet since Jack's favorite day is Super Bowl Sunday, so I'd rather see a happy episode that day, but I'll take what I can get because I also really want answers. This week's episode revolves around the Super Bowl, which we figured would be around the time Jack died, since Rebecca was wearing the same jersey in the first episode at the end of that episode with that ominous scene. Let's just say it's not that great of a day, and the kids decide to not spend their last Super Bowl with Jack and Rebecca, and of course, one of the kids really leaves things unresolved, and that is Kevin. So in short, Jack and Rebecca were given a crock pot from an elderly neighbor, and he warned them the switch was fidgety, but it worked well. Well, that crock pot or slow cooker, whatever you want to call it, is ultimately what starts the fire, and with them forgetting to pick up batteries for the smoke alarm, the fire spreads quickly through the house, and it's kind of too late when they discover it. Now, Kate has said multiple times Jack's death was her fault, and we see her struggle with adopting a new dog in this episode, which makes us all think that Jack went back into the house to save her dog, and that's why she still feels guilty, like it's her fault, which many of you have actually thought for a while and said in the comments on my recaps. We also have Randall trying to be like Superman when it comes to fixing up the apartment building they bought in the last episode. He ends up ignoring Beth and what they should do to fix it up, and well, he learns that he has to slow down a little. Kevin's also trying to make amends with the people on his list, but there are two names he has yet to check off. He checks one of those off in this episode when he goes to see Sophie. The other name he won't probably be able to check off. Now let's break down the recap in a little more depth, starting with Kevin and Randall. Rebecca and Miguel are running errands, so Kevin's left alone. He looks at his checklist of people he makes amends to. He texts Randall asking if they can have a bro day, but Randall says he can't because he and Beth are heading to their new apartment building to start changing the lives of the tenants. Randall is very gung-ho about everything when it comes to this apartment building, while Beth knows that they need to take their time and gradually fix things. They meet with the tenants, and Beth already has a list of priorities of things they need to fix to get the building up to code, and everything starts with the fire escapes. Lloyd, who we met last episode, just keeps cracking jokes while other tenants start shouting out the things they really want fixed now, like their doors and heaters. Before Beth can get a word in, really, Randall just shouts out that he can fix all of it, and Beth thinks they're getting really ahead of themselves. Kevin then shows up asking if they need any help. Randall has his mind set on trying to fix everything that day, and that he can do it, so Beth just stops trying to convince him otherwise and leaves for her office. We then get a version of Property Brothers that I would happily watch all day long. I mean, I think there's some things around the house here that can totally come fix. We see Kevin fix a door and knock down a wall while Randall plunges toilets and fixes heaters. Randall then calls Beth in his own way to say, "I told you so," but that's cut short when they discover a hole Randall made in the wall has let out an infestation of roaches. Randall has to move all the tenants to a hotel and finds that Kevin is still working in one of the rooms. Kevin reveals that he's helping because he's supposed to find a project and complete the project and stay sober. It mirrors what Jack says to a young Kevin in the flashback about building a new wall unit to keep his hands busy so he doesn't drink. Kevin is also avoiding making amends with a few people on his list he doesn't think he can, so he decided that tearing down the wall would be easier. Kevin then asks Randall why he's doing all of this and making all these repairs himself. Randall confesses he feels like he's running out of time. He's tried to picture himself as an old man, but he just can't see it, and it's hard for him to picture outliving Jack, who's now been dead for 20 years. Kevin then tells Randall he should picture himself as an old man because he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
You're not going anywhere. You're gonna be a great old man, by the way. You'd be like your other dad.
If there's anything I love more than Kevin and Randall Property Brothers, it's these Kevin and Randall bonding moments. Later at the hotel, Beth shows up and she tells Randall her version of "I told you so" in a way that only Beth could.
I've never owned a building before, but my partner here, she's been working with underserved communities her entire career. She's a real resource to me. I'm gonna utilize my resource.
Randall then tells her he got freaked out thinking he was running out of time, but they both agree they really need to slow their roll because they're R&B properties, so they need to be more like smooth R&B instead of like hyperactive R&B. Kevin ends up leaving the Demolition Derby and goes to see Sophie. The name on his list that he admits is the name. She feels guilty for being a nurse and not seeing the signs of his downward spiral, but he says it's not her fault. Sophie then admits that he's the only man she's truly loved, but also the only man who could truly hurt her in a way like no other. And if Kevin really wants to make amends with her, he should really just leave her with the memories of the past, all the good memories they had growing up. Kevin says he can do that and he's sorry, and Sophie says he can check her name off the list because she forgives him, and they say goodbye. When Kevin returns to Rebecca's house, he finds that Charlotte found his necklace and mailed it back. And I'm just really happy that he got the necklace back, and he is so happy he also got that necklace back, especially after what happened with teenage Kevin and Jack in the flashback that I'll talk about soon. Kevin then checks off Sophie's names on his list, and it seems like every name on his list is now checked off, but he turns it over and on the back is one name: Dad. Now let's move over to Kate. She catches Toby in bed on his laptop, which he quickly closes as soon as she enters the room. She thinks there's only one thing Toby could be looking at: porn. But it turns out that Toby's actually on Pet Finder looking at dogs, and this just makes me love Toby even more. He is a puppy man, and he says a guy at the office got a dog, so he ended up online going down a puppy rabbit hole, which I often find myself doing as well. Kate then goes to the dog shelter where Lena Waithe guest stars as one of the shelter's workers. Kate tells her about Toby wanting a dog and being a dog person, but she admits she's kind of still hesitant about wrapping her head around getting a dog. Well, we know Kate had a dog as a kid, right? So she is a dog person, so what is holding her back? She then sees a dog that immediately catches her attention, and it is love at first sight with a little pupper named Audio. Kate gets all the information about Audio and is kind of set on adopting him until she gets asked again about wanting this dog, and we see flashbacks to Kate as a teenager with her dog. When Kate's alone with Audio, she tells him that this just is not going to work. She wants him really badly, but she just can't keep him, so she grabs her bag and leaves. Or so we thought. Kate returns home and tells Toby about her day at the shelter and how she saw the cutest dog, who she describes as Jacob Tremblay in puppy form, which is totally a great description. She says she wanted to surprise Toby with this dog, but then she thought about how it would remind her every day, but before we hear what she says, Toby cuts her off saying he gets it, it's fine. She then says that she started thinking about it again on the drive home, about how happy Toby would be with the dog, and so, surprise, she went back and got Audio for Toby, and everyone is happy, and there are puppy kisses. Now let's move on to what's happening in this flashback. It is Super Bowl Sunday, the last Super Bowl Jack and Rebecca can spend with the kids before they go to college. The only problem is none of the kids actually want to spend Super Bowl Sunday with them. Kevin is still bitter about his injury, has major attitude, and he's upset that Rebecca keeps hounding him about filling out his college applications for community college while he knows Sophie's gotten into NYU. He's pissed about his future and he thinks he should be playing in the Super Bowl, not sitting around watching it with Jack and Rebecca, so he ends up yelling at both of them and leaves to go to Sophie's. Randall wants to spend time with Allison instead of watching the Super Bowl, so he takes her to see Titanic for the billionth time, and he also gets a kiss, while Kate gets news from Berkeley that she's in the final round, so she has to send in another tape of a song, preferably an original song, and ends up going to watch the game at her friend Molly's house. Now, all these things with the kids cause some squabbles, of course, with Jack, but ultimately Kate and Randall resolve their issues. The one who doesn't is Kevin. He actually does call home from Sophie's to apologize to Rebecca and ask if Jack is mad. Rebecca says his feelings are probably hurt and asks Kevin to come home and watch the game with Jack, but Kevin opts to stay at Sophie's, and he says he'll talk to Jack tomorrow and then tells Sophie about a party he heard about in the woods. Jack ends up leaving Kevin a note on his door saying he loves him, but Kevin owes them an apology. And sadly, that is an apology Jack never gets, which is why Dad is still on Kevin's checklist and will probably always be unresolved until Kevin himself can come to peace with everything that happened there. We also see Jack in this episode moving forward with his business ventures. Instead of going big right off the back, he's going slow and wants to start maybe flipping a few houses first. Rebecca then surprises him with a house she circled in the newspaper that she thinks would be a great first house for them to start at that she's already put a call in for. Jack is very excited and asks Rebecca to be his business partner, which reminds us a little of Randall and Beth in the present day, and Rebecca ultimately says yes. Now, at the beginning of the episode, we see an old couple named George and Sandy, I believe, who are cleaning out their garage in order to sell their house. The whole episode leads us to believe that this may be the house that Rebecca made an offer on, but in good old This Is Us twist fashion, it actually isn't. We see George pack up a box of stuff and take it over to his new neighbors, who just so happen to be a young Jack and a pregnant Rebecca. Now in that box is a slow cooker or the crock pot, and George says it works if you just fiddle with the switch. The show then tries to kill us by showing us a bunch of happy memories as the slow cooker that Jack turned off after he cleaned the house flickers back on and starts the fire, which creeps up the stairs because the alarm doesn't work, and thus ends the episode. Well, that's ending the episode on something super emotional and sad, right? On a happier note, this episode had some kind of sexy moments because, in my opinion, it's pretty sexy when a man helps out around the house and cleans. So seeing Randall plunging toilets and Kevin knocking down walls and Jack even cleaning a whole kitchen kind of made my day. How Jack died is pretty much now kind of obvious, I guess, after the clues we've been given. Seems like the family got out of the house in time, and with all the emphasis on the dog stuff and Kate's hesitation with the dog in this episode, it hints that somehow the dog had something to do with Jack's death, either inside the house or maybe something outside of the house. We do know the dog is still alive, or was still alive, after Jack died. So did Jack go in, get the dog, make it out of the house, and die from smoke inhalation? Did he die in the fire? Did he die after coming out of the house and getting hit by a car? What specifically was it exactly that killed Jack? We know the fire, though, had a big start to the whole thing, so we're just gonna have to wait until after the Super Bowl airs. So let's check out that promo.
Time. Right here in this hospital, it hit me like a bolt of lightning. You were my purpose, Kevin. You have changed the way I think about love.
He's your brother. You should be able to depend on each other more than anyone else in the world.
This is my dad's favorite day, so I celebrate him.
It's my fault.
You are the strongest person I know.
All of your questions will be answered.
Alright, that episode is definitely going to need a bunch of boxes of tissues, but at least we'll finally have our answers. Now what's the show going to focus on after we get those, right? Family stuff. Family stuff, right? Now it seems like things are over for Kevin and Sophie for good, so now I'm interested to see Kevin's next steps. He didn't get to make those amends with Jack before Jack died, so he's definitely holding on to that for a long time. So will he get to somehow talk that out with someone? We know he has trouble talking it out with anybody, including Kate. Kate seems to be making some progress, though, because adopting that dog was a big step forward, because we know that dog had something to do with that night of the fire and making Kate feel guilty. And Randall and Beth, I just love them as a team, but I really think they do need to go back and address all the stuff that happened with Tess. I feel like they just blew over that so quickly, so maybe after we get our answers with Jack, that'll come back into play. Well, that wraps up this week's recap. First of all, congrats to the whole cast of this show for winning the SAG Award. It was very, very well deserved. But you can hit up the comments right now, leave your well wishes for the cast and congrats, but also hit the comments to let me know your theories about how Jack specifically died, not stuff with the fire. Do you think it had something else to do with the fire? Let me know, as well as your favorite moments from this episode. Then you can click right over here to watch my interview with the cast of Maze Runner: The Death Cure or this week's Foster's Recap. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Lisa, and I'll see you soon.